Okay, we have about a minute left, so yeah, I forgot. I have to put up the not this one, file, all right? So we will, yeah. So the temperature, it looks like in Vancouver, it's gonna be going up to 40 degree over the weekend, right? Up to 40 Celsius degree over the weekend, like a Sunday and then next Monday as well, right? It's gonna be very, very hot. So, well, this is new to me as well because I never seen that this temperature is higher than like a maximum saw was like about 32 degree or something. And then it lasts about a week, right? And then this time it looked like it's gonna last about a week, but it's gonna go up to like a 40 degree, which is very hot. I had this temperature, yeah, once when I experienced like about over 37 or 8 degree was when I went to the I think it was Texas, Houston. Yeah, yeah, it was Houston. So I went there for work. Actually, there's a one of the X-ray crystallography companies there, and then making the machines. And then I visited it there to get some training or something, I believe. And then what we did was that when we have to go to company, that company provided a van which stops in right in front of the hotel, and then as soon as we get out of the hotel, then we get into the van, which is air conditioned, so we get cold in that way. So we moved in something like that during the daytime, and then it was humid as well. But in Vancouver, it doesn't look like it's gonna be humid like the in some other area, but the temperature is like 40 degree, meaning that the sun is shining really strong, and you probably wanted to have some sunblocks if you wanted to go outside, or wearing long sleeve shirts or something like that, and then with the hats with the shade and everything. Well, so that's how you need to prepare, right? Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. Anyway, it's time to start. So let me start with the greetings. So here we go. Hi everyone. My name is Min. Well, in these days, because my first name is Tong Pil, and then the Tong is my first name. So this is my first name. So some people call me Tong, and then some people call me full by name Tong Pil, and then the because Tong might makes like a Tony or many different ways of saying it. So I decided to use Min as my uh like a my name that to be called, but some people still remembers as a Tong, and then some people start calling me as a Min. So it's kind of confusing. So I'm rethinking going back to Tong. But in the official, all the documents and everywhere that I'm providing in under the name of Ponder is gonna be Min, right? So Min will be the one. But calling name is like a Tong or Tong Pyo. That should be okay as well. So I'm going to just use both of them and then see that which one is more comfortable for the people to call me. Okay. So this program is provided by Vancouver Daily newspaper, and they have actually website, English website as well. It is started building up. So, but let me show you. So if you go to punchjungang.ca, then that'll lead to the Vancouver Daily newspaper website. And in here, there's the English version. So if you click on the English, then you will see some of the news from Vancouver area and then combining with Korean news in English and something like that. So you can read about those things. And yeah, I should have introduced it from before, but I thought this website is, I think it is still, they are uh, not fully up, but at least there are some news that you can watch, you can read in English, some Korean version of the stories that in English. Okay. Anyway, yeah, so and Pondered is the company name that I started, and then with this one. So I provide the counseling, consultation, and workshops, and also classes is the one that I'm planning for the future. Yeah, and I'm thinking about, since everything is set up for the online, then online classes is one of the thing that I'm planning, but I'm not 100% up to the point to provide it yet. Okay, but eventually I will. So if you wanted to have some hands-on training, then probably that's where you can find the actual systematic training. Because the streaming is YouTube streaming is mostly one-way traffic. Even if you ask questions, that most of the stuff is from my side, from my end. So basically, it doesn't really give you hands-on training. And for the hands-on training, it has to be more likely you have to really sitting, and then you have to actually do your work, and then based on your work, I give the comments and then give you some idea what to do. Then you will be able to really grow your skills systematically. But anyway, so it's up to you that how you do it. As I have announced before, that today will be the last before the summer break, and then July and August I'm going on a break, and come back, restart this program in September, first week of the September. That's the plan. So in when it comes to the first week of the September, then I'm going to bring prepare some like a specific topic so that you can actually see how I handle the topic, and then how you can approach it based on the methodology I provide, and then you can start from there. Okay. And as I said from the last week, that the methodology that I talked about is like a kind of like a you can think of as a brainstorming. You putting out all the topics, but differences in from the brainstorming is that now you have to make the connections, and based on the connection, you started writing your paper, not essay, and in an essay type with in making the by the making the connections. That's how you do. So I'm going to provide a couple, two more, I believe. Yeah, let me quickly check because it has been for a while for me to wrote this book, so I'm not sure that I have. Yeah, it is two more. So two more methodology that I will provide, and then yeah, based on that, you can use it for your the study. Okay. Now, I recently sent out a one of the chapter of a book, and then there is one journal that I published a paper in a journal called Infonomics, and their editor asked me to write a chapter of a book that they wanted to publish. So, well, it'll be online, I think, and I'm not sure that it'll be printed or not, but it'll be online. Online for sure. I'll have to check with them. Anyway, I sent it out, and then that one has all systematic way to actually that was for the teachers and instructors that teaching how students how to develop a creative thinking. Okay, so creative thinking is the only unique way to for you to develop a real thinking processes, and everything is included in there. So When that one is published, then I will share that for through the online. I have to check with their copyright issues, and then, but I'm sure that it'll be shareable. And or if not, then I'll just provide my own version of it with again, well, that is my version, but my different way to explaining those things to the simpler way so that you can read it and then train yourself until uh, well to develop it. That actually has three different levels, three levels or four levels. I think it is. I wrote it as a. I wrote it, but I don't remember. I categorized it into three or four, but it is a. I believe it is three. Okay. It has been only a couple of weeks, but uh, I forgot. Yeah, what I wrote, how I wrote. Well, but contents will be coming up whenever either in this the lectures or in the website. As I said, the website will go under construction and I made a little note here that it's gonna go under changes and then with these all videos and everything will be removed and but because the YouTube has all the channels in there and the blogger has will be the one I'm going to share just a casual kind of talk with the connecting the education with the life forms, and then Facebook will be the one I'm using for the advertising. And LinkedIn, I didn't put it in there because LinkedIn, I don't quite know how to use it yet. It looked like it's similar to the Facebook, but I wasn't really sure about how to use it, so I haven't put the LinkedIn link to the LinkedIn yet. Anyway, so that will be the one that is, so if you have any uh, questions or if you are missing, if you wanted to review something, then if you the YouTube channel will be the first one, and then come to the my website, and then there will be publications. The are the ones that you can read about, or you can, well, yeah, you can read some of the articles as well. Okay. Right, then let me start with the second, the making connections, but this time I'm sure that I named it as a flowchart method. The flowchart method is the method that because it is just a constantly threading, like a threading necklace. If you have a pearls, like little pearls with holes, then what you have is you have a thread, right? You connect it one by one, and then later on you make a necklace, something like that. So you are constantly making the connections of each concept, just like a threading. You are adding one pearl one by one, and then make it constantly elongated longer and longer, and that's how it goes. Now, the first one is the example is oxygen. Well, this is straightforward. You just simply uh, going into the ask questions. What do I know? What do I know about the oxygen? So basically, you are collecting all the information as much as possible, and then you select one of the. Well, in this case, you have limited options because oxygen, not many people have much of the knowledge to utilize in this case. So you just go straight. Okay, I'll breathe in. I breathe in the air, and then when I breathe in, the oxygen goes into my blood, and then you write it right there. And next question is, well, in this case, I wrote it as animals, right? What do animals do after breathing oxygen in, taking the oxygen in, right? Then the other way around. Now, when you breathe out, then dioxide comes out. Something like that. You are constantly making the connections. And sometimes, yes, you might not have the connections. For example, let's say you have no idea. Plants release the oxygen, and what happens to the plants? what happens to the carbon dioxide or plants that when plant is releasing the oxygen. And let's say you have no idea what happened. Well, you probably know by now that plants are the releasing the oxygen, but they are taking up the carbon dioxide. And then you might have, if you took the biology class before, then you know what happens to the carbon dioxide. That's actually the what happens, what we will discuss in a second. But let's say you didn't have any idea. You didn't know what happens to carbon dioxide after plant took it in. Then what you need to do, you do literature search. You go going on to online and then you look for the information. So this is something called something I call information search because informa you are not these are not the research questions. These are knowledge seeking questions. So when it comes to the questions that you look for knowledge, then that's the uh, what I call is information search. Okay. Research is something that they make you to really digging in and then promote your brain to find answers by yourself instead of looking up the references online. Okay, so literature search or information search is the one that when you are trying to increase the knowledge. So when you have any new knowledge comes in, then you have to conceptualize it. Okay. The research question is different. Research question is coming from conceptualized concepts and then using that as to find some information. This is what I call a research question. But if you are linking some of the concepts and then you ended up saying, okay, I don't know what happens to carbon dioxide. This is something that you wanted to find it out, but this is not conceptualize the concept and questions using the conceptualized conceptualized knowledge. Because of that, it is called information search or literature search. Why? Because you take up this knowledge and then you have to conceptualize it further. Okay. So this is what you I'm not sure this I made clear about this, but you will see on the next, right? So once you have, once you went up to the this point, then now you started going continue with either if you have the information already, then you use it and then further conceptualize it, or if you don't, then you do the literature search. So let's say in this case it's information, you do the information search now. Okay, is it too small? Let me make it larger. I should have used PowerPoint. Yeah, that could be better, but well, since I wanted to show you that how to use this book as a something like a textbook, so that's why I'm just using the book. Anyway, so now you have literature search, you did literature search, and then now you brought with information like this. Okay, so carbon from carbon dioxide reacts with water when uh, utilizing the sunlight, and then it generates a carbohydrate. Carbohydrate, well, this is a new concept, right? Then you have to build it. If the you didn't have any idea about this photosynthesis, this is something called photosynthesis, right? So if you didn't have any idea about the photosynthesis, then using this information, you have to build this further and see how carbons are being connected together and then to make the carbohydrate or something like that. You have to conceptualize. But we are not going to do it here because this is something that you have to do it while you are making the connection of the concepts because if you wanted to make the concept connected, you have to conceptualize the knowledge first, right? So that's what you need to do. So you have information like now carbons, CO2, now break it down, O2 and C, and then carbons, are connected together to make a carbohydrate, which is this is a sugar. We can think of just like as simple as sugar. So when you put sugar for when you're cooking, that's a carbohydrate, and that's what. And then also the fibers that makes the clothings or the beddings or anything that you see, well, not anything. That sometimes the polyester is the one making these clothings as well. But the carbohydrate is the basis of the fiber as well. So fiber is the one that make when you sometimes you use some of the clothings you use fiber to make it, right? So cotton fiber. So those are the ones that are made of the sugars. Different structure because of the structure is different. That they one thing has very strong the like a rope kind of strength, so you can it doesn't really the it holds some of the strong the heavy stuffs as well, but the sugar is when it is breaking down into the smaller pieces, now it turns into the sugar. When you put that sugar into your food, then you will feel sweet in there, right? So that's what it is. So now you build the concepts like that. And now you ask questions, what happens to the water and carbohydrate? And you don't have information. You do another literature search, right? Because you're looking for the knowledge. You're not really you need to bring up the knowledge, and then after that you have to conceptualize it, build by building the concepts, and that's what you need to do. Let's say you continue to build it like this, then let me bring it up. Then now you could ask some questions like, what happens to the carbohydrate that plants made, right? Then you can think of it. The carbohydrates they make, and as you know that the potato is full of starch, and the fruits are full of sweet things like a sugary kind of things. So fruits are filled with sugars, and they store as a form of the starch or something like that. Now you have all these information that collected, and now you ask questions. Then, well, you find it out. Animals also use eats the plant and then survive, use the as an energy, right? You have those information. Then what you do? Let me. You collect all the information and you write what you have found out. But this is after conceptualization. After conceptualization of the knowledge that has to be conceptualized first. So once it is conceptualized like this, then once again, you have to write, okay, this is too big. You have to write summary, merge and summarize it, and then you finish one set. So this is how you connect concepts in flowchart method. You go step by step, and then you make the connections by threading it. And then after you thread it, just like with the flow, you just write the entire things into one of the writing format, essay format, and then after you put it into leave it for like a few days, and when come back to the your writing and then reread it and see that if there's any connection is weak or the concepts connected is not logical, then you have to rework, and then that's how you develop your brain, right? Now, this is the second method. So this is a straightforward. Especially this method will be the one that they're giving you some of the tools to use when you have to utilize a lot of knowledge from the class, because class is usually designed to provide more depth of the knowledge instead of providing you to learn from the experience, because the experience it takes a lot more longer time because you have to do every single things by yourself, right? And think about it. If you wanted to play tennis, then you have to go out there in the field and you have to practice it. And then as you practice it, practice how to play tennis, it requires time and effort. The experiments is always the experience and experiments always requires time and effort. So that's the one of the thing. But you have a brain. Brain meaning, and then the what most of the education system is trying to do is trying to deliver more knowledge for you to conceptualize, so that you have a variety. Problem is because it is you who need to digest the information. Basically, it is you who has to conceptualize all this knowledge. Because of that, well, it is most of the teachers, it is simple. You just dump all the knowledge, then it is your job to digest it. So sometimes you have to spend like several hours and digging the information, or go to the library and spend like about all day and then to do the homework. That's why the this your life is like that as a student life. Okay. But if you use this method, then you will have a little bit easier way, and then you will have a little more organized way to make the concepts connected together. And then with this, your study might be could be a little bit easier and straightforward. Okay. Now, the third method is uh, yeah. Let me start with it. Do I have better one? Yeah. So let me start with this one. Third method is combination of those two. Okay. The first method, which is you just like a brainstorming type, you just list everything and then you make the connections and you draw the interior cycle, like a water cycle. Or if you are doing with the company, then company structure, and then you make the interior company how it with the connections together. But individually, okay, individual concepts, they are not connected sometimes. Like for example here. So human. In this case, the topic is human, right? You're the one, as a human, you're the one who think, who see, and who smell, and who sleeps, and who eats, hear, everything. But the thing is that with this information putting out like this, it is not easy to make a connection. Think and food, how is it connected together? Hear and think, how is it connected together? Right? It's difficult. So what you let me move down. Now, making the questions to make connections is relatively easy, just like a first step, the one that I showed you last week. Just how are eating and breathing connected together? In this case, food and breathe, right? How the eating and breathe connected, how heart and breathing connected, how heart and feeling connected, or something like that. So making the connection, questions to make connections is relatively easy and simple. But problem is finding answers is not easy. The reason is because this requires in depth of the concept building and connections. So let's go straight down to the method in here. Uh, Let me reduce the size so that can fit it into one. Now here, let's think about the eating food. Then what happens to the food that we are eating? Where do they go? Right? Then you know where they go, right? So you eat, and from the mouth you start it exploring to observe to describe, and that is the first thing. So in this case, you should use the concept building method. So you started chewing the food, and then once when you chew, then saliva comes, the water in the mouth comes out. and then it mixed with the food, and then as it is mixed with the food, then now you swallow it, and then it goes through the neck and goes to the stomach. And you know where it goes after the stomach, right? It goes to the intestine, and the nutrients are being absorbed into our body. Okay, that's the entire processes. So you started listing, but when you list, when you go flowchart method, what you need to do is you need to go step by step. I just went through very quickly. The reason is because that I plan to finish this by today so that you can have some at least some basic idea and then you can do it by yourself. Now, so it goes down flowchart method. Each step you add questions and you made descriptions. And in this case, well, you don't need references, right? Because it is one you already have the information already, and then you know what happens to your body, what happens to the food in your body, right? Then now eventually you just simply go like a break it down to make energy in cells, right? And now you go separate. Second topic. This is the first topic. This is second topic, right? Second knowledge to conceptualize breathing. Then what happens when you're breathing in? Then oxygen get into the bloodstream. And what happens to goes to the bloodstream? It transported the entire throughout the body and transported it into each cells that in our body. If they don't, oxygen is not provided in every single cells in our body, then well, you cannot survive because oxygen is one of the fuel, right? Then now, what happens here? It makes energy and produce carbon dioxide in cells. Now you have common factors. This is a similarity, right? So in for you when to make the connections, okay, this is one of the these stories are straightforward, but generally if you have two different concepts and built in together, then sometimes what you need to do is you need to make the listings and organize with similarity and differences and similarity and differences, and then what you need to do is you need to find the similar part and make the connection. And this is a method that when you have when to find the similarity. In this case, this is a little bit advanced level because the if you saying eating food and organize everything, and then if it is connected directly with breathings, then story ends. It's simple. You just make the connections right there. But this case I made in with this one is because that I wanted to show that you need the process of the building concepts. Once you build the concepts, while you are building the concept, you constantly compare each other and then see if any similarity is coming from. Once you find the similarity, that's the time you make stop there and you make a connections. And once you make a connections, then simple. Once again, you have to put them into the writing. So in this case, you have to separate. Eating food is starting point number one, and breathing is starting point number two. And then in the end, you make the connections and you start exploring it. Okay, so you have two different topics explored and then make the connections together like this way. Simple, right? Then you will once you make the connections, then what you can do you can turn them into questions. For example, let me see if I have that examples in here. Yeah, I didn't provide the writings in here, but you can, yeah, because of that, I didn't put that into the questions. But the first thing you have to do is with this one, you have to put it into the questions. Okay, then for now, you made the connections. Breathing and eating food are connected in a cell and then make energy. Both are the same factors, right? So make energy here and make energy in here and in the cells are the making connections, right? Then question is, You can simply go how. How do they make energy? What kind of processes are there to make energy? How do they interact? Carbohydrate and oxygen, how do they interact? Then, if you build the concept from plants, then you can easily think of it, right? What do plants do? Break carbon dioxide and using the carbons, connect carbons to make sugar. And now it goes into the human body. Then now you are producing carbon dioxide. Then you can easily think, okay, can it be reversed process? Yes, they are, right? So the in your our body, carbohydrates will break it down, and these carbons will the react with the oxygen. It should have oxygen, and then it will produce carbon dioxide. And you can go, would be the what kind of processes would be there? Then now you're getting into some in depth of the field, which is called the TC TCA cycle, or in the plants it is a Kelvin cycle, and this is TCA. I believe it is right. TCA cycle or something like that. And then now you can go into how it is changing and then what kind of chemicals involved in. So basically you're getting into more in depth of the biochemistry, right? And so biochemistry, if you study biochemistry, then you have to memorize all these cycles and how these are turning into the different chemicals and how do they react and what produces, what is the productions and then how do they, well, I don't even remember now. If I looked at the textbook, then I can see that what they look like, and then I'll probably it'll flash back my memory. But if someone asks me to write the Kelvin cycle, I don't think I can do it. I don't even remember. Yeah, there's acetyl CoA involved and blah blah blah, a lot complicated. But if you go to the university and if you are majoring in biochemistry or biology, probably you have to draw out entire cycles. Well, and then they will check the accuracy of the knowledge. Okay, that's what the current education system is really look like. Anyway, once you do, as I said, you put it into the writings, and after that, what you do, you do with everything. You just make the connections all individually and then build the concept to make connections. Sometimes it'll be as easy as you just list something and then make the connections based on the similarity. Similarity is the easiest way to make the connections. If it comes to the differences, then it'll be very challenging. But still, you can do it, but you can find it out the how they make the connections. Now here, this is one of the example of a research question. As I said, the questions to find look for the information, which is basically knowledge, and then when you ask questions to look for knowledge, then you have to conceptualize those knowledge so that you can use it as yours to digest it. But the research question is a little bit different. Research question is once you conceptualize, then you will be able to come up with some of the questions like why question, right? The thing that you observe, like for example in here, it is water, and the water is evaporating. And then when it is heated, then why water is evaporates when it is heated? What is the relationship between heat and what is the characteristic of the water? And then how do they connect it together? And then with these questions are the research questions. Why? Because you conceptualize the evaporation and then you conceptualize the heat, and then you have to have the concepts of the water, characteristic of the water, which is a hydrogen bond in this case, then you have to make the connections all together. So when you ask these type of questions, then now you are ready to go do the research. This is a research question. It is different from information search questions. So you have to clarify this. Okay. So not all questions are the same. So if you, when I provide the, what is it, the chapter of the book that I talk about, that I sent out to the journal, that chapter is actually showing that the systematic way that developing questions, which is in not all the research questions are connected to the creative thinking. There's different levels of the creative thinking, and there's the different levels of the questions, and then you have to develop those one by step by step. So I'm going to leave these questions out of curiosity, and the questions of research questions will leave it onto that chapter of a book that I wrote, well, creative thinking, how to teach creative thinking kind of thing. Yeah, so you will have to wait and see to read it. Okay, so this is what, well, and then now you have to rewrite. So these are the ones that the research differences in there. So questions of the research questions has to come after you build the skills of building concepts and connecting concepts. Once you have it, then you can come up with the questions like Newton had or Albert Einstein had. Albert Einstein, as if you look up his stories about how he came up with the relativity theory, then you probably, if you heard, then you probably know that his question was relatively simple. What would we see if we travel faster than speed of the light? Then the light that has left before, then that is the past. And that's where the relativity concept of the relativity and of the time and the space and distances came from. And then that's the starting point of all these quantum mechanics and everything is from there. You know, the because this is the one. Let me just quickly show you what it look like, right? So this is Earth, and then now in these days you have a GPS system, right? So you locate your point in here, and then when you drive your car, for example, let's say this is your car you are driving, for example, then GPS can locate your position as you move, and then if you have maps overlapping together, then it will guide you where to go in on Earth, right? But the problem with GPS is because GPS is outer space and the distance between Earth's surface to the GPS, it takes time. So it's not real time. So let's say you started your trip in 0, 0, 100 time, basically midnight in the let's say it's just today right now is 5:12, right? 5:12 p.m. So you started traveling 5:12 p.m. and then you moved to one location around 6 p.m., right? 600 p.m. Then what happens is as you moved, then GPS had to travel signal, so they receive the signal and send and then receive it from the GPS, and then now you have to calculate it. But problem is when GPS send out the signal, your receiver will take let's give like a 1 second difference. That means your GPS will receive the signal 1 second delay. Then that means that if you accumulate this 1 second delay, then you will be off the track. You're gonna be out of nowhere. So what this one had to do is they have to use quantum mechanics, which is relativity, basically relativity theory, apply Newton's relativity theory, and then adjust the time clock on the GPS constantly so that it calculation comes into more accurately. I'm not sure I provide the real clear idea about this GPS system, but that's how it works. right? So that's the what the concept is about. So if you build the concept, once you build the concept, then now you can come up with research questions, and once you started coming with research questions, then that's the time that you jump into someone like Steve Jobs or Albert Einstein or Newton or something like someone like that. Okay, but for that you have to start from building concept. That's the first thing, and then connecting concept and try to come up with questions after having these concepts built. Okay, that's what the basic approach is for your study to develop your brain. Okay, so if you have any questions, then you can write on the chat window, and I'll just finish up with some brief idea that overall that just summarizing everything. Okay, building and connecting concepts is the basics, and as I said, as many you build, it will increase your skills more and more. If you build just only one concept, then think about it. What can you do? One concept is one concept. It'll sit in your brain and then it's not gonna do much. Okay? So what that means is that you have to increase your concepts over and over and connect them all together. Then later on, even if let's say you started with the science, but you can connect with this one with the global warming and businesses related with one. Did I tell you the story that about 7, 8 years ago, there's an article came up and saying that the how global warming is impacting on the business, coffee bean businesses. Coffee you drink, I don't know you drink coffee or not, but it comes from many of them from Brazil, right? But problem is because the temperature rises up about less than 1 degree. I think it was talking about 0.5 degree or something. And then what happens is because the temperature rises up, the coffee, let's say this is area where the coffee farming is happening. Now the it was a virus or bacteria started migrating up to where the coffee farming happens. But before, these virus and bacteria were not able to move up because the temperature was not not for them to adapt to the environment. So they were kind of like there was a borderline. They couldn't move it. But because of the temperature going up a little bit, now they could migrate, and then they started destroying the coffee farming area, and because of that, now coffee production goes down, and then now what it happens, it will lead to it was leading to the coffee price goes up or something like that. So it is chain reaction. If you are able to connect them all together, then you can connect the science to the any the issues that the issues in the world, and then connect with the businesses, and you can prepare the impact in this way. Okay, this is how you make your the interior learning into the real when you can apply to the real life cases. Okay, then your future will be brighter. Eh, okay, so since there's no questions, I'm going to stop here. And as I said, so today will be the last one before the summer break, and then I'll come back after summer break, which is early first week of September. Okay? All right then. I'll see you in a couple of weeks, a couple of months. Bye.